The outer wheelhouse is going to be a direct replacement for the stock one, but if you recall, this quadrillink rear suspension allows us to put a bigger tire in the back through the use of a deep inner wheel tub. So the trunk floor was trimmed and the frame rails were trimmed in a previous chapter, and now John can start to fit that new Detroit Speed inner wheelhouse, which is going to accommodate the much larger rear tire than a stock Mustang. Test fitting your new quarter panel can be a two-person job just because these are big and bulky, and it might take an extra set of hands to help you manipulate it and fit it in place. And I think it's important to point out that it doesn't matter where the panel came from. Chances are it's not going to fit on the car perfectly right out of the box. And this might not be because of the panel, it could be because the car is tweaked. You have to realize, as of right now, this car is 44 years old and has probably lived a rough life being a Mustang. So it might be twisted, or it might have previous crash damage or other things that are going to prohibit a brand new panel from fitting. In our case, this panel from CJ Pony Parts fit very well. It didn't take too much work to make this fit the seams and contours on our car. And once we got it in place, it's time to check some reference points to make sure that it is in the right spot. Another thing we like to do is make sure the adjacent panels are installed before you remove all the remaining pieces of the quarter panel. For example, we're using an Anvil Auto carbon fiber rear deck lid and quarter panel extension, and of course we got the driver door. Make sure those are in place because those are going to dictate the fit of the new panel later. There are a few areas that required some metal massaging to make them fit the way we wanted to, namely the filler panel between the deck lid and the rear glass. Its relationship to the quarter panel required a little bit of hammer and dolly work and pounding to make it fit the way we wanted. But overall, we were able to get the panel in place and assemble the inner and outer wheel tubs and that trunk drop. When happy with the fit, the crew put the Mustang back on its wheels for final welding. The plug welding process involves punching holes in a panel so you can overlay it over the car and then use your welder to fill the hole, and this will allow the one panel to stick to the other. And once you welded up all the holes, you got to go back and do a little bit of cleanup grinding, but this kind of closely replicates that factory style of the resistance spot weld because those resistance welds were circular in their original design. If you have a sharp eye, you'll be able to tell that this is plug welded and not resistance spot welded, but it's a strong and effective way to properly put these cars back together. There were some areas that required some good old-fashioned MIG weld seam welding where two panels were butt welded together. We used some clamps we got from Eastwood that hold panels together and allow us to do a series of MIG tack welds to eventually close the seam and make for a smooth panel once it's ground. We do have an HTP resistance spot welder that we use in the shop, and we used it in a variety of different places on this car, mostly in the wheel tub areas, because you can do a quick pinch resistance weld, and not only does it look factory, those also have basically no cleanup when they're done, so it's a lot faster to weld things together than doing a plug weld. Another helpful tool in this job are locking type pliers. We use vice grip pliers, and we've got a variety of styles. Not only do we use the original traditional style, but we have some that have a wide jaw that allow you to clamp the panel and then weld between those jaws. And this way you can make sure that the plug weld is held nice and tight. Another thing that's going to be your friend are sheet metal screws. Sheet metal screws are very handy for assembling panels and getting them held in place while you're aligning things or mocking them up. And then you can weld the panels together and just do a quick little weld to fill the screw hole once you take the screw out. So after all the clamps were gone and the welds were ground clean, we had a nicely fitting quarter panel on a '69 Mustang. And it takes a sharp eye to see that that inner tub is much deeper, but the rest of it looks factory because we cut it and removed it and reinstalled it all to factory seams. And you can learn more about the panels and the tools and techniques we used on our website at v8tvshow.com/boss302.0.